So I don't have the number one YouTube channel on the uh, Elon Musk Tesla watch yet, yet. But one thing I do know, I have the number one audience, which gives me a good chance of getting there someday. You're the number one audience because of the questions you ask and because of the comments that you make and because of the ways you straighten me out from time to time and make me better at my job. But anyway, today we're going to answer questions from you all and also read some of the better comments over the last week. I try to do this from time to time, but man, the last week or two, there's been so much content available that it was just impossible for me to ever get to it. So before we do that, could you hit the like button? Could you hit the subscribe button? Could you hit the notify button? Because, tomorrow night we have our regular, tomorrow night, that would be tonight, because you're seeing this Sunday morning. Tonight, we have our regular Sunday night show, which is usually the best one of the week in terms of viewership. Of the regular, we sometimes we have a special guest that really goes crazy, but Sunday night is very big because we talk about all of the stuff that's coming next week, all the financial news and things that are going to be coming up. Do you know how many Fed speeches are going to be next week? That should be fun, especially after last week. So it's so interesting to hear what the Fed speakers have to say coming up next week. Anyway, what you want to do too is we got on Monday, we got all the regular stuff. We got After the Bell in the morning. Then we got Brian White at around the noon hour. And then in the evening, Larry Goldberg comes with Good News Monday night. So all that kind of stuff, you want to hit that notify button, which also helps the channel. Okay, you want to buy some maybe the camouflage, maybe the regular Cybertruck bottle opener information down below in the information, and join Patreon so you can help support the channel. Thank you for all the folks that did join during the month of January. It was not a great month, but not a bad month. So thank you. Thank you very much for all of you joining. All right, let's take a look at some of these questions, some of these comments. Let's start off with Stephen Van Heiningen. It's 6403. He says, I wonder if Elon is watching companies like Meta, Microsoft, Netflix that are knocking the cover off the ball and rewarding their shareholders. Meanwhile, there's Tesla that's becoming the butt of jokes and nothing but a dog. Well, Stephen, what you have to do is you have to have the perspective of when are we talking about? You could go back a few years and look at Apple. Back when Steve Jobs wasn't with the company there for a while, how were they doing? And then even after he came back, they had some pretty dicey times. And sometimes I was sitting there thinking to myself, oh my gosh, why is the stock down so bad? The company's doing great. Or maybe there's Amazon who was really in the toilet. Or, oh man, just a few months ago, they were laughing their head off at some company called Meta, who was spending $30 billion on the Metasphere. And everybody was saying, boy, that guy ought to go. So it matters when you're talking about it. All I'm going to say is check back with me in the end of 2026, and we'll see who's laughing the hardest then. All right, then we've got this from Dwayne Java. Okay, Dwayne Java. He says Elon made over 100 billion. That's billion, not $1 million, just in stock appreciation in the last set of tranches. Does he need an extra 50 billion in stock options? It's just too much. FSD isn't even solved. I welcome any discussion and critique on Elon's pay. Well, I got to tell you something. Elon has done it over and over and over again, and we've got somebody who is consistently doing things that nobody's ever done before, building company after company after company, landing rockets. You know the story. You've heard it all. I wrote all about it in the Elon Musk method. If you haven't read that yet, Elon is just better than anybody else out there. And if you want him to be excited and interested, he wants to go to Mars. If he's going to get to Mars, he's got to get a bunch of money together to be sure that he can do that. If he's going to get that money together, he's got to be paid big money. And so he says, look, I'll take the risk. I'll take nothing. If I don't hit these numbers, I'll take nothing. If I only hit 10% of the numbers, I'll take 10%. Well, he just happened to hit all of them, and he made all the stockholders 10 times their money in just a few years. How many companies have done that for their stockholders? 10 times. I think it was just in like 4 years or 5 years. How many presidents have done that? The CEOs of companies have done that. Okay, so you get the point. Yes, he's highly paid. He's highly worth it. Don't begrudge him whatever he needs to get the job done, as long as the stock keeps going up like it has Yes, it's down now, but it was at a crazy number at 410. Everybody knew at the time that it was nuts to be at that level. It will be there again, but it'll be much more in line with what the valuation of the company is at that time. All right. We have Bill the Builder, 1579. Bill's been, I've actually had a couple of his comments before on this, I think. All right. He says the consumer is waiting on interest rates to drop. That's why they're not buying cars right now. I bought my Model Y in 2021, as did we, with 72 months at 2.9% financing. I think I actually got a little better than that. Anyway, I would not be buying today with an 8% interest rate. As a home builder, it is affecting the home market too, not just autos, both ICE and EV, new and used. Everybody is holding back a little bit because of interest rates. I think there's no doubt about that, especially because why? Because we're being told that they're coming down, and they are coming down, but they got more room to go. So if you can wait, people are waiting. Now, remember, Bill the Builder, that when the interest rates come down, what's going to happen? That's going to allow Tesla to raise their prices a little bit. Other auto companies to raise their prices a little bit. It'll allow you as a home builder to raise the prices on the houses a little bit because, again, what we're shooting for here is a certain monthly payment. So it's not 100% even on these kind of things. But I agree with you. Many people are probably waiting for those interest rates to come down. I think you make a great point. All right, then we've got Pitter. How is this? Pitter Sohulian. That is PIDDERSOHOOLIHAN 2222. I have no idea how to pronounce that. He says, I agree 100%. He says, I drive an 08 Sierra 1500 with a canopy, and he can't see anything out of his rearview mirror. Oh, we're talking about the rearview mirror here. And I don't have a backup camera. Never have had an issue. You learn to use the side mirrors. Yeah, I used to drive convertibles. You remember convertibles that had the plastic in the back and the plastic window, and the thing would turn completely like, what would they call that color? Like yellow beige or something. You couldn't see out of it at all. Absolutely true. Yes, there are ways to get around not having a rear view mirror. But in fact, for the most part, the rearview mirror that is in the screen is going to be actually better than the one that you would see out of if you were looking out of a normal rearview mirror. But I do think Tesla could make sure that that looks just great in the rain at night, and that would be an improvement they could make. All right. Here's JH6392. He says, Randy, you sold some Tesla stock, didn't you? Too bad. Well, technically, yes, I did. But I bought the same amount within 5 minutes. I moved my leaps out a year. So if you know about leaps, you know, you're buying the right to buy way in the future, and I buy way in the future. And so they were starting to get within a year. I think I was down to like 9 months. I don't like to be within 9 months. So I bought and sold the same day with the same amount of money. And I just moved them out a whole nother year to where those are now, you know, at least 2 years out, I think. All right. Now we've got, but I've not lowered my position on the stock that we own, the actual stock. We have not changed that. And the total amount invested is not changed. Okay, so then Michael Palmer, 1384 says, in 2023, Tesla Energy was supposed to explode, LOL, kicking the can down the road. Well, in fact, the amount of Tesla Energy that was shipped was probably fairly close to what people were expecting. It might have been a little under, but the problem is with the bookkeeping. So it wasn't really a matter of kicking it down the road. It was a matter of people didn't understand that when you sell these products to these big utilities, there's a certain, contractually, you're not actually earning the money until X or Y or Z is done. Since you haven't earned the money, you can't book the money in terms of bookkeeping. So that has changed how we're seeing it. However, the growth last year was dramatic, much more dramatic than what you would normally expect to see in something as dull as a storage battery for selling to utility companies. All right, then we got David Will 1320. He says, looks like the figure bot is not as far along as RK suggests, and uses as an example of how close bots are to being useful. So I used the figure bot, the competitive product, as an example of how well things are coming along in terms of robotics in humanoid robots. He says Figure AI is looking for 500 million from Microsoft and OpenAI. As I recall, 500 million is the expected cost of the compute needed to train AI. It is interesting that RK has not said anything about this deal Figure AI is working on with Microsoft and OpenAI. Perhaps this is because it did not support his overly optimistic narrative. Well, the reality is what I was talking about in terms of how far along they were was his own words, Brett's own words. He said, look, we are going to be putting these into factories in 2024. We're going to have them working in factories in 2024. He said that he has a deal with BMW, which apparently is true. And BMW, of course, has confirmed that. So they have a deal with BMW. I assume some of these bots will be going into BMW factories in 2024. So they don't need this deal with Microsoft and OpenAI in order to make that happen, apparently. Apparently, they got enough money, they got enough cash to make all of that happen. Well, but on the other side of the coin, if OpenAI comes along and Microsoft comes along and says, look, we'd like to make an investment, well, you pay attention. And maybe they went to them, maybe they came, who knows how the conversation got started, but somebody comes to me with 500 million, I'm going to pay attention. So I don't think this has anything to do with the development of the bot. I think it has everything to do with they're offering money, or they know that long-term, if they're going to manufacture, they're going to need a lot more money. And yes, they probably need more money for compute as well. I wouldn't disagree with you at all, David. All right, we've got here more from David. He says, I have not seen any evidence that Tesla is at the point that they can train Optimus through visual demonstration. No, you're right. We haven't actually seen that, but we have had it out of the words of more than just Elon. We've had it out of the words, out of the mouth. I can't remember who else who said at this point they are training using vision in only. Okay, then we've got Norman Pettis, 5697, says, without Elon, there would not be much in the way of a new space economy, not much in the way of electric cars, not much in the way of self-driving AI. He's changed the world and should get a Nobel Prize. But of course, he never will. He's disrupted way too many monopolies to get I don't know that would change whether he got a Nobel Prize or not. But at the same time, he is a pain in the butt. A genius knucklehead, constantly popping off with stuff that actually distracts from Tesla's basic mission, and probably has a lot more to do with why he won't get a Nobel Prize. Like Trump will never get a Nobel Prize, even though he set the what are the new accords? I've forgotten the name of them. Anyway, all right. So he turns scores of people off to the extent that they won't buy his cars, and probably won't buy his stock either, which is, of course, stupid. Kind of like saying there's a great drug out there that would cure my disease, but the company is partially owned by someone who said stuff on Twitter I don't like, so I won't take that drug, even though it'll save my life. I have mixed feelings on this topic. At this point, Tesla is such a success, it doesn't have to hit a lot of home runs anymore, it just needs to play good baseball. Is Tim Cook available? So I said this kind of the other day. I said part of this anyway the other day. Tesla is now in a situation where if Elon actually did leave, it would not necessarily be the end of the world as long as you had a really strong CEO coming in like a Tim Cook who can make sure that they executed on all the stuff that's in the pipeline. Yes, I think all of this will happen faster and better if Elon's on board by probably multiple powers of 10. I think that Elon will continue to be someone who sets the mission. I think he'll be the one who sets the tone. I think all of these things are excellent. And of course I care when he says things that are absolutely intended to be incendiary or that are not done through a wise filter. But I don't think over time that this is going to matter a whole lot. So if you're in for the short term, if you're a day trader, this is the best stock ever for day trading, okay? You want a lot of volatility. If you're trading options, you're trading the stock and you're in and out, this is fantastic as a day trader. I made so much money a couple of years ago day trading Tesla but it was really hard on my stomach. I couldn't do it anymore. Okay, and then we've got Mark P, 1950. He says, how will the China collapse affect Tesla? Well, it is the largest auto market in the world. It is Tesla's, I think they sell more cars there than they do in the US. so I would anticipate that if China really does collapse, it's going to hurt the potential. Now, will that mean that they actually sell fewer? Does that mean that they just won't sell more? The truth is they're about maxed out at that factory. They are shipping out of that factory all over the world to lots of markets. They're opening new markets in South Asia, et cetera. So they'll have new places to ship product if China is collapsing. Now, if a China collapse, if it was really a bad recession in China, that meant that it affected other Southeast Asian countries, or the other people in that Pacific group, the Australia, New Zealand, Japan, or South Korea. If it affects everybody, yeah, it could eventually have an effect. I'm not 100% sure where the cars for Japan are going to be coming. Typically, that would not come out of China, but I did a big story on this about 4 months ago. Larry Goldberg and I in particular, we took a really hard look at the China connection with these other countries. Do you know that South Korea, even Taiwan and Japan and India do a massive amount of business with China. So it's not like they don't do any business between these countries. So anyway, I would say, yeah, it's an issue. I don't think it's going to be it'd be a worse issue if they were sitting there building a brand new factory right now and we thought they were going downhill. I don't know if that's why Elon has held off. Because we certainly have expected them to build a factory, if for nothing else, the Gen 3 vehicle. But to the extent that we can tell, we don't have that announcement yet. All right. And then we have Craig Marley, 5926. He says Tesla should be close to employing some bots to do the simplest things in their factory. That will be an exciting milestone and should be the beginning of a new era. And guess what? Dan Ives agreed with you today on Brighter with Herbert. He said, if you want to wake up the guys on Wall Street, it's to have a video showing one. I would suggest more than one. I would suggest 2, 3, 4 Optimus bots doing 2 or 3, 4 different kinds of actual tasks, actual kinds of things, showing that they're actually literally working in the factory and able to do those kinds of things, walking around without tethers, just proving that it's capable, even if Tesla is still a year away from shipping anything to third parties. I agree with you. That's 100% right. Okay, so hit the like button, please, if you haven't already done it. Hit subscribe. I'm almost there. I think I'm 145 away from 20,000. So you could be one of those that gets me almost there. So keep on doing that and then hit notify. I just explained to you tonight, we've got the regular program, the Monday morning program, all the stuff tomorrow with Larry and with Brian. Okay, you know what to do. Hit all that stuff. But then you need to buy some bottle openers, okay? Some refrigerator magnets. Yeah, we're counting on those sales to help the channel. All right. So you want one anyway. It's only 25 bucks. If you want to buy 2, it's only $45. If you want to buy 10, it's only $110. So, this is the time. Let's figure out who you want to give these away to and get yourself a half a dozen or so. All right. That's it. It has been great talking to you.